I would wish that you move to the next slide because we are starting. So, what is the main aim of this lesson? Lesson number 1 is to provide comprehensive understanding of climate-smart landscape. How does our landscape in agriculture look like? If you are farming on the slopes, how will you be able to do farming? If you are doing farming in flat areas, how are you going to do it? In order to achieve better yields, better crop production, and better output. So the objectives of this are actually a number of them. One is to benefit landscape approach to natural resource management. We need to manage our resources in terms of crops, in terms of plants, in terms of forests, soils. Those are our resources. Analyze the cause, impacts, and solutions for land challenges like degradation. If we have too many animals in a small piece of land, then it will lead to land degradation. So we need to know how we can be able to manage the soil resources, the animals, the plants, so that we don't do overgrazing at some point and therefore degrade our land. Now, to evaluate practical agroforestry, because agroforestry is very critical, where we plant trees alongside plants, so that as you harvest your crops, there is also a possibility of harvesting timber. Okay, in the long run, we need to harvest the timber, and that's actually what we call agroforestry. It benefits. It has a lot of benefits. Just like instead of doing single or monoculture or monocropping, okay? Then explore the link between climate smart practices and agripreneurship opportunities for smallholder farmers. This is critical because every plant or every crop that you do, you must be able to sell in the market. You must be able to get a living out of it. If you are planting maize, you need to get a bumper harvest. You don't just plant maize for the sake. Okay? You go to the next step. Then there are so many slides, so some people may get tired. We have to skip others. Now, these are what we have actually been talking about. We have a holistic framework for managing natural resources by integration of crops, trees, and water systems interconnected. So we have food, energy, and water nexus. All these are connected together. In order to have smart energy, smart water resources, or water harvesting and all that, and smart agriculture for food security and food production, all these three are connected. But at the baseline, we must have water resources which are well managed. We need to have also soil resources which are also well managed. So the outcome of such farming systems become more resilient, productive, and efficient. Unlike traditional farming, the traditional farming methods that are being applied in the village sometimes without extension services to advise farmers on how to do farming. You find that in the villages, for example, there is no crop rotation. Okay? There is overgrazing and emaciated animals for that matter. But we need to be very careful so that we have more resilient agriculture systems and productive, which is actually also very efficient, to be able to help you as you move along with your life. Next. Now, understanding integrated land management. You integrate land systems. For example, we have said, okay, if we are planting a crop, let's say maize or beans, we need to have also some trees around that area to be able to maintain moisture, to be able to break winds, because if there is no wind breakers in your planting maize and so on, so when there is a lot of wind, the maize will actually go flat. So we need, we will not play this video because of time, but if maybe, I don't know, Gemma can load that video, although it will take time. Yeah, but we'll see what videos we need to load. Okay, so now the challenge of land degradation. And you are saying unsustainable farming, e.g. cultivation on steep slopes. If you are cultivating in a slopy area and you do not have terraces, you don't have alleys for that matter, then there will be land degradation. And over cultivation, you are using the same land over and over again. If you are doing maize, you do maize forever. You are not doing intercropping, you are not doing crop rotation, then that is going to lead to land degradation. Deforestation or charcoal, our people need to be sensitized so that they don't cut trees for the production of charcoal. Okay. Because if that happens, it will lead to desertification. And that is actually what we need to prevent in smart agriculture. Now, the impacts will be soil erosion, of course. If you do over-cultivation or deforestation, then ecosystem destruction of microbes, living organisms, you destroy them. Even the birds, they build their nests on trees. Okay. So if you cut the trees and it becomes a desert, then even the birds will have no place where they can be able to lay their eggs and continue their biodiversity. So you will see some of the bird species will also disappear, which are very important in this case. Reduced rainfall in infiltration because of runoffs. It will be extensive runoff. Some students nowadays are wondering whether I'm an agriculture teacher or something. Why have I been teaching very strong courses? Now I'm coming down to teach very easy ones. Okay. Solutions. Soil conservation. You need to do soil conservation to avoid degradation. Contour farming in the slopes. You have to do contour farming. You don't just how do you plow your land? If we ask the students very, very simple questions. In the slopes, or let's say slopes of Mount Kenya, Aberdares, and so on. How do you plow your land? Do you plow along or do you plow horizontally? Okay. So that is actually very, very critical in soil conservation. Terracing, how to prepare terraces. During the moist time, we used to have terraces. I don't know, what do they used to call during the moist? Does anybody remember? When you have gullies, for example, what do we do? We build gabions. Okay? We build the gabions to prevent soil erosion. Now, community-led agroforestry and deforestation. Every other time, the President of the Republic of Kenya is saying we need to plant 15 billion trees in Kenya. And those ones will be able to capture CO2 or emissions or green gases that be trapped by the trees. So the more trees we have, the better we have health environment, leading to climate friendly practices. Because there is what we call climate change. What causes climate change? Okay. A lot of destruction of biodiversity, destruction of forests and so forth, poor agricultural systems, and also use of fertilizers which are very harmful, causes climate change. Now, we will see the figure on the other page. Degradation, we call land degradation neutrality. Okay? We don't want to disturb the soils in the land, so we want to maintain that neutrality. And land degradation that aims to prevent the net loss of healthy land. The soils must be healthy in order to produce healthy foods, healthy trees, and so forth. It works by avoiding, reducing, and reversing degradation. We need to reverse degradation, and we have given ways so now we can be able to reverse degradation, such as building gabions, doing terraces, contour farming, and crop rotation. There are so many others that we have actually seen. It aligns with sustainable development goals, and this is where I want us to discuss. What are some of the sustainable development goals that are aimed towards climate smart agriculture, or embedded towards climate smart agriculture? What are some of the sustainable development goals? We call them United Nations Development Goals. We need to be participating. You know, videos are being taken, and people are saying, I just keep quiet. We will not be able to allow it. What are some of these SDGs that we have? Very good, yes.
We have zero hunger.
Very good. That is SDG number? No, it should be number 2. Okay? SDG number two is zero hunger. What are the SDGs? Is aligned with climate smart agriculture. Except for two, you need to try. You work. Climate and sanitation. Is it what? Clean water and sanitation. That is number 6, is it?
Yes.
Yes. Another one? Zero hunger. That is what? That is number 1. SDG number 1. There is climate action. That is SDG number 13. There are 17 SDGs. So all of them come together, including education, including living very well, including health and well-being. That is number 3. And also number 7 on clean energy. Okay. So here, land degradation, we have a lot of land degradation drivers. We have deforestation. These are just the obvious things: degradation of agriculture, agricultural expansion, and sustainable land management, and so forth. Just using your land without thinking, okay, without better practices. And that's exactly where we have in people who are not well trained. They need extension officers to visit them and also advise them on access to food, water, energy, and security. Remember, initially when we started, we talked about food, water, energy nexus being connected. In climate change, we need to be resilient in terms of climate change. Now, sustainable developments, we have combating desertification. If we do best practices, then we can be able to combat desertification. Altering biodiversity, loss of birds, loss of microbes, loss of earthworms, and okay, so that we have a health environment and a health agricultural system. Now, issue to do with erratic rainfall and climate variability. The problem is unpredictable rainfalls, and this happens mainly in arid areas and semi-arid regions. The impact is to threatens rain-fed agriculture. Okay. Rain-fed agriculture in semi-arid and arid regions is not tenable. It is not sustainable. And that is why we may need to introduce now crops which are drought resistant in those particular areas, or introduce irrigation schemes which are efficient. We need also to integrate maybe AI, artificial intelligence, to be able to monitor water uptake in such areas. Now, livelihood diversification, you don't need to be doing goat keeping every now and then, or cow. Is it cow keeping or animal husbandry? I don't know, something. Yeah, cattle keeping and so forth. So we need to diversify. We need to have poultry farming, beekeeping, aquaculture for those who are living in near water or good water systems. You can have fish farming and so forth. Next. Now here the figure is on the other page, or direct and indirect impacts of climate change. Of course, the direct impacts are obvious. We have temperature, extreme temperatures, droughts as a result of climate change, reduced crop quality and yield as a result of climate change. Those are direct impacts of poor land management and poor environmental management. Then the direct outcomes of this mismanagement will be global food security and sustainable development. That is the figure, or there is no figure there. We have a video. There is a video, but we are not going to play it because of, I don't know whether you will allow us to play. Eh? You can allow us to play. Eh? Okay, so you load it in and then we have it there. And then we listen. After listening, we'll ask you a few questions on that.
I like to say, for a lot of the smallholder farmers in India, hard work does not pay. How does climate change impact farming? Every year, for farmers, it was the weather that decided whether they succeeded or failed. You need to have rains come on time, you need the right temperatures, you need pest attacks to be in the right levels, and you need access to water. So all of those things which the weather affects are getting more and more erratic over time, and therefore smallholder farming has become much more risky.
We have talked about overgrazing. Okay. We talked about overgrazing. Overgrazing leads to land degradation. You need to keep the right number of animals or the right size of land. Go next. Now, solutions, we have rotational grazing. And what do you mean by rotational grazing? Is it or budding it? Rotation.
The animals don't have a bubble for a certain period.
And then you move around until you reach the part where you start. By the time the grass it means vertical moving livestock between pastures, preventing overgrazing and all that. So what are the benefits? Soil health and water, enhanced carbon sequestration, naturally fertilize soil with manure, because the animals, as they graze around, they also leave behind dungs, manure, and all that kind of stuff. But what is carbon sequestration? What is it? What do you mean by carbon sequestration?
Extracting carbon from environment to lower climate change effect.
Yeah, exactly. Sequestration, storage, capture. Right? You capture and store. Sequestration. Next. Now, this is what a good agricultural system should look like. Now, fluids from trees, because you have cows, you have trees, you have the soil and so forth. Meat from animals, eggs from chicken. Income generation, okay, you sell your milk, you sell your meat, you sell eggs and so forth, you sell maybe kales or sukuma wiki for that matter, and you get income generating activities. Now, we have, I thought we had three here, but well, are you going back or something? I thought we had talked about extremes. Yeah, this is actually where we need the extreme temperatures. Direct consequences will be extreme temperatures if we play around with the environment. If we don't do climate smart agriculture or protect the environment, protect the soil, protect water, then we have climate change and the direct impact. Extreme drought, it affects crop production. Now, all these high precipitation and food floods and all that, floods, it will affect crop production, crop quality, crop pattern, and all that. If it rains forever without, let's say, sunlight, what will happen to the crops? They will start becoming very thin. Okay? They become malnutrition. Or if you have temperatures without water, without precipitation, what will happen? Crop wilting and the crop will die. Okay? No, you are going too fast. We have global food security, okay? Sustainable development. If we have better or enhanced climate, sustainable climate agriculture. Now, we have direct consequences of climate change, reduction in food intake. has actually cried now and is actually regretting why he did deforestation, he did not do smart agricultural practices and all that kind of stuff. Now, we look at Kenya against the local perspective. In Kenya here we know nearly 70% is arid and similar. And most of the counties that are affected are in these are not the only. We have Somalia also, we have Haiti, there are many others. So the impact of agriculture is low on the region. That is the direction. Desertification is right. Identified conflict of the coast. We have here in West Pokot, East Pokot, and Bamboo. These pastoral communities, they no peace combined because of competition for resources. Now, what strategies are employed to prevent this destruction of national facilities, including professional and public? Feeding the area, okay? You need to plan either plant or crop, reduction of the crop before that, plant native crop, then whatever plant something you are thinking. No, was I can't. Now, we have several types of mitigation. Those who are drought resistant and those who are they require a lot of rain. Now, managing livestock numbers. You need to manage livestock numbers as per the size of land. Gone are the days where we say that the more animals you have, the better or the more wealth you are. Gone are those days. Nowadays, we are moving in a society whereby the population has gone up and we don't know what now. When there is extreme climate change, they die. Look at what happened in Kajiado how many years ago? Is it 1 year ago? Yeah. Where people lost their livelihood. You could sell a whole cow at 50 shillings. The cow is about to die. Then the clever farmers, other places, they rush and buy a almost dying cow at 50 shillings. They put in the vehicle maybe hundreds of them. By the time they are in, 50 will have died, they remain with 50. And then they feed those people. By the end of 2 years or 1 year, they sell a cow at almost half a liter. And they sold it at 50. Yeah. So that is something that we need to approach next one. Yeah, these are some of the counties in Kenya, or some of the areas in Kenya that are affected by drought, vulnerable to climate change, extreme climate consequences. Okay? We have seen that before. We have Nigeria, and many. Go next. Sustainable pasture management. Okay? You need to have managing rangeland for treatment. They have to look at the video so that we can discuss. Then you say, ooh, let's move on. Was it there?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Now, coordinated planning and multi-level solutions. Adopt integrated approaches, such as now when you are planting crops, you also include trees that you can harvest. Intercropping, okay? You can have intercropping as well. Community level, collective structures, water users, associations, grazing communities, you form circles, you form communities where you can actually discuss on the best practices of farming. Then regional level, cross-border cooperation, like for example the Maasais who live in Kenya, the Maasais who live in Tanzania. Okay. You at one point, let's say in April, where there is a lot of rain, you bring your animals from Tanzania, you come and graze in Kenya. When there is rain in November in Tanzania, you take your animals to Tanzania. That applies to pastoral communities. We are not saying you guys should practice that. You practice better animal and plant husbandry or wivery, well, I don't know. But it's called husbandry, is it? And we don't call it wivery. There's nothing like that. Next. So, community seed banks. What are community seed banks? Okay. How many types of maize do we have? We have yellow maize. We have the white maize. What else? We have the traditional one that you have seen. Have you seen the crop that has red, yellow, blue, something? You have seen that? Yes. Those seeds are disappearing nowadays, and we are only looking at the white ones. But what about the traditional ones where we had the yellow, we had the blue, we have the green, we have maroon? Yes. We don't have it nowadays. Have you seen that? Yeah. So, Jibogan knows, I know, they are there. I just wanted to bring one today, but I think I was in a hurry. But likely I'll bring it tomorrow for demonstration. So that seeds, some seeds that need to be kept because they'll disappear over time. And we have a good example as the Vika community. We look at the video shortly. Show us the video. Go next page. I think there should be a video. Is there a video? Okay. Before the video, this is Vika seed bank community, where we have operations for community seed, the seed bank team and facility. I don't know how many of us have had of a seed bank before. You have had of a seed bank. You've worked as part of a seed bank. Who else? Have you had of a seed bank? So this today, what is a seed bank? Seed packaging and storage systems. Okay. So we need a video for this. I think it's the next day. This one for seed bank. So that you know, those are some of the best practices that we can be able to apply in agriculture. Some seeds are very good in semi-arid regions. Others are very good in the highlands. So let's learn something. We will not play the whole of it. Just a player.
So the semi-diversity zoocoat harvesting program mainly looks at farmers being seed secure at all times. So while implementing Pillar 1 and Pillar 3, we realized that there was need for a central point where farmers can easily access the seed.
They have also gone ahead to build or to establish community seed banks, which are now acting like reservoirs for these genetic materials that farmers have worked on, collected, identified and reintroduced into their farming systems.
Right now we have 3 community seed banks in Apach, Amoria and Ajumani, and these have been very effective in helping the farmer field schools, but also the members of the community in accessing good quality seed that is needed.
Yeah, you know, home sometimes it's not easy to take care of things at home. Sometimes you can miss some species at home, but when they are in the seed bank, we are able to go and retrieve them back to our families.
Now we have our seed bank here. As we started from grassroots house. Later, staff assisted us. We have constructed a permanent building for the community seed bank. The seed bank is now holding about over 60 seeds in the bank here.
So the community seed bank is there to ensure that there is they restore the seeds and have it in their seed bank where they can easily access.
Ikarasyon wana mono to no peki. Pingone kayini de purushem ade yinta ne gwak shimi moro yini gwa yo danga ber amemiero gwak pashu wana no peki kom shogwa yini poe no ni mono korine yini gwa ber eno kwanyo korini sheo timongo otero charro ko shado yini ta ne kwan koriteri porro korro shue korido pe temi yiwa bedo ke pet kapol aten tiako sha yini ter kor ke kare I porro yin podo ya wor shup mo yu kor ma pira Doi shawani. Ashale isap te bino te mi wa beri yakina mi wa groups awan mi beri yere yakina pachi mi mondo shawani te winya ber mi yore me gwa kokori ka yini no korni yini ma hete kelokan ka kor chue ringa te na kwene te kwa nyokori te uketi porro sha kor katu kede maido kal oranga donyi shawa eko kome.
To be a member of this seed bank, you registered with us and we give you a card. And this card indicates your name, your village, the date you join, and then the chairperson signature or the bank manager signature.
We have community seed bank manager, seed bank treasurer, and then other committee.
And if you have this card, you are free to access seeds from here in loan basis. Where if we give you a kilo of millet, you bring 2 kilos when you are bringing back.
You pay a membership fee of 5,000 to be a member. After borrowing the seed from here, you go and plant. After planting, we come and test the seed you are returning in the seed bank with the condition we have set. So if we find that we have satisfied your seed, we put it in our bank. You borrow with some percent and you return with some percent. We don't limit to farmer members only, but we have given to all the community in here.
These community seed banks are linked to the farmer field schools, but also the national gene banks and the communities. So how this happens is that communities identify crop varieties that may be needed in the community. However, they are not accessible or they need to be worked on, either through enhancement, selection, or under Pillar 3 where they can do multiplication of neglected and analyzed species. These are sent to the farmer field schools to be worked on or researched about. So after the farmer field school going through the theses that we have talked about, that is when they are able to have conclusive results, and these are shared with the community seed bank.
The bank is acting as where the farmer field school can get the seeds. The seed bank also get the seeds from the farmer field schools. The farm field school, they bring, and then we give them small, then they bring back to us.
And then we need to have this related to the National Gene Bank, such that we can now see what we can do. Nationally, we need to bring from the community seed banks to the National Seed Bank, of which other parts of the country can also get the seed.
So one of the aims of the National Gene Bank is to enhance capacities of the seed bank committee members, but also the communities, but also to ensure that there's diversification of the different varieties. They can access varieties from the communities, but also the community seed bank can be able to access varieties that they may wish to have from the National Gene Bank.
We have already gotten what we mean by seed banks, so that we don't our seeds. You know, most of these is like the one that we talked about, the yellow, the blue seeds, the green seeds, the maroon, may not be found in the Western world, but they are found here in Africa. Okay? After is sarach. You know sarach? Yes. These look like sokoma, but they are not sokoma. They are being over time. Yeah. So we need to make sure that we store them and keep them. Even those for Isuja, murere, okay? Over time, they will be lost. Even those ones for isaga, okay? Over time, they will be lost. So we need to give them, and that's what we refer to as seed bank. You're about them discussing how they are able to store them. How do they store them in your community? In the olden days, before pesticides came, how do they used to store them?
They would dry them and hang them somewhere where there is
smoke.
Zero moisture content.
Zero moisture content, and there is also smoke. Smoke is very poisonous to some of the pesticides, like weevils. So they used to hang them. Where there is a fireplace, they hang them. Okay? So they smoke for 1 year, and then, or even many years. It can be stored forever. Okay? So those are what we call seed banks and seed storage. Now, outcomes are okay. We look at not necessarily 30%. It can even be 50% yield. We will not stick to that percent, but saying that if you have that kind of plant species or crop seed species, you can even have 100%. Improve the soil organic matter, and broader impacts will be strengthened community cohesion. There will be peace within community. There will be social networks. The communities will sit together, have fun, discuss, exchange, enhance the climate resilience, because these seeds are very productive. Unlike the ones with GMO, how many times do you plant GMO seeds? Probably 1 year, and then the second year you may not have enough yield. Okay? But these seed banks from the communities, they can last forever. You can do it over and over again. Preservation of local genetic resources, of course, as we talked about those types of maize. We have types of millet. We have the bigger millet, we have the smaller sized millet, we have even sorghum varieties. We have the red variety, we have the yellow variety, we have the white variety. Okay? Yeah. So promotion of food sovereignty. If in Kenya you can be able to practice that, or if you are in Uganda, you are in Norway, you are in Sweden, you practice that, then you will have seed production which will actually last forever. But instead of going into the lab and producing seeds, the lab is very important because they can produce seeds that are drought resistant, such as cassava. Some cassava can withstand harsh temperatures and still give better yields. Now, precipitation, okay, these are simple things. Gales, we talked about gabions, how to mitigate soil erosion. Crops, if you have plants, you have trees, and you have plants in between, then you prevent moisture loss or loss of precipitation. Next. Now, halley cropping. This is almost like you have, we will show you the picture. You have the trees in one row, you have the trees in one row, you have your crops, you have trees, and then you have crops, you have the trees. That is actually alley cropping. Go ahead. Now, alley cropping design, of course, we have looked at that. Alley cropping versus monoculture. You just plant crops anyhow. Okay. You don't care. You just plant maize every year, maize every year, maize every year, maize every year, bean, and that is actually monoculture. Windbreaks, we need to have trees, even within the farm. We have trees around the fence to act as windbreakers and also reduce loss of precipitation. Next. Before that, maybe we need to ask in semi-arid and arid regions. Okay? Some of the main trees that we have in arid regions are mainly acacia totalis. Those ones can be, it takes time to plant indigenous trees. It can take several years as compared to artificial trees. So the most important plants in semi-arid regions acacia totalis, but not also totalis. There are also types of acacia. The one with very huge thorns and others without thorns and so on. What do you call the one that we have in Egerton? The one with the yellow bark. It's acacia, yes, but what type of acacia? The one with the yellow bark. Do you know what that yellow bark?
No, I don't know the specifics.
But you know the tree.
Yeah, I know the tree.
Yeah, but we have it. So those are some of the examples. Go next page, or you have got. For the banks, it is just like when we talk about seed banks and all that kind of stuff. Here we talk about designated high protein. Is it forage? Yes, e.g. lab, pigeon pea, even moringa. You also have beans. It's not only limited to this French beans. And then what are the benefits of this? Security ensures nutritious feed year round, because as soon as how many times can you plant, for example, beans here in Egerton or here in Mao, around Mao? Even 3 times is possible, isn't it? Yes. So you have crop production throughout the year. French beans are very good. If you have French beans, you can be able to sell them, grow them very fast, and sell them. And those are some of the benefits. Drought buffer. They have drought buffers. The land is not left fallow. Of course, there will always be something in the farm. Soil enrichment. The nitrogen fixing plants, help in nitrogen, the nitrogen fixing bacteria. I don't know. I think it's something like that. Smallholder dairy farmers use lab and whatever surplus for animal feeding and all that kind of stuff. Agripreneurship links. What are some of the agripreneurship links? Okay, agripreneurship means that agriculture entrepreneurship, but now in agriculture. You sell your crops, or you sell, let's say moringa, you sell your acacia, you sell and so forth, and then what value added for the products? What do you get for value added? What value addition can you do for beans? What value addition can you do for beans, for example? What value addition can you do for the bean? Instead of selling it to the market, how can you sell it otherwise in value addition?
You can also make, nowadays they make flour from...
What? Yeah, flour. They don't call it flour. They call it flour. Yes. They make flour from beans, where they can make uji. Yeah, uji. That is a way of value addition. Serving provision, over training and consultancy. You can be a consultant. After this training, can you be a consultant? You open your kiosk in town, and then you become a consultant. Can I go and we do on your land, we do buddocking. I advise you on what crops you need to plant, agroforestry. You can actually do that. Okay? If you are, for example, if you are an extension officer, that will be one of the best. You have got the next image or something? Yeah, this is an activity, proposed activity that you guys can do. You guys can do this. But what we are saying is, at the end of this, we are going to circulate all the lessons for you. Because at the end of the day, we expect you to get a certificate for the training, so that you are certified, and you can be a consultant. You can be consulted. I think we are done. Mainly, the main takeaway is landscape. How do you do a good landscape for productive farming? Addressing land degradation. What do you do with rotation and all that? Agroforestry techniques, early cropping. We have discussed that. These entrepreneurship opportunities, moving from subsistence to sustainable business, where you can eat some and sell some. So, thank you. Is anybody willing to clap? Or